I want to ask you about, I mean, your list of credits is phenomenal, and I know our listeners and our viewers are going to be interested in hearing some stories about some of the artists you've worked with. And we touched on Ozzy and Randy a minute ago, but I wanted to ask you about Randy specifically. You know, as cliche as this question is going to sound, did you know when you were in the studio with him that you were making something special? And were there any, I mean, everybody wants to say, oh my God, he was phenomenal. He was phenomenal. But were there any things with you as a producer that Randy found challenging in the studio? And did you feel overall that you were doing something like you had never done before, and you were making something that was going to last and stand the test of time and be considered a classic?
Um, that's a really long question, but no, at the time, and probably Jason will concur with this. You know, at the time, you really don't know because you're inside the bubble, so you don't know about the relevance and whether people, whether this music is at the right time, because timing is a huge thing. To me, my thoughts about that, the first record, Blizzard of Ours, was that this was kind of a little outdated now, because I'd already done like 5 tours with Uriah Heep before I went in the studio, and that was from 1975 to 1980. So to me, 1980, there was a lot more exciting things happening, like Mahavishnu Orchestra, Weather Report, some to me a lot more interesting musically bands that were more complex, more progressive, if you like, Genesis, and they all, you know, these kind of bands that are actually sort of morphed into, you know, much more complex music. So to me, music was fairly simplistic, but it seemed to work fine. Randy, I think, struggled with everything because he wanted to play it better, play it better, play it better. But he was old school in the fact that once he knew what to play, he didn't change the notes. He just changed the way he played the notes. And that's what he worked on. And I've worked with quite a lot of jazz people. And I worked with Clarence Clements, for instance, a sax player.
Right.
And what the jazz guys do is you give them a solo, 8 bars. The guy plays 5 notes as he goes through it. Then he play it again. He plays different 5 notes, and then he starts playing the same notes, but he's changing where he's playing them, how he's playing them, what emotion he can push into each note. And Randy did very much the same thing. Once he had once the solo was written, he would then work on the feel of the solo and the fluidity of the solo, and when it you know, the movement of the solo generally musically.
Right.
So in that sense, he's like what Ole Roth would call an old school player. He's like an, you know, old school player in that term, because he's looking for the beauty in the notes. He's not looking for the technical exercise or the fact that it's fast or slow or whatever. He's looking for it to work and to work musically and to be beautiful. And that is an interesting thing. So whereas I thought that his solos were pretty good, but nothing super spectacular to me, I was impressed by the fact that he continued, once he could play them, he continued to play them until he could play them how he wanted to play them. And that was the interesting thing to me. It's kind of a second level thing, you know what I mean? And I thought that was a very interesting thing. And as we started to go through it, we're inside the bubble, so I don't know if this is going to work or not. To me, this is maybe a couple of years too late in England. We got like new age stuff going on. You got pop stuff. You got electronic stuff. You got synthesizer. You know, this is maybe a little dinosaurish, if you like. You know, you're thinking, well, I don't know, man. But of course, the US is a big rock place. The US loves rock, and so as soon as it got out to the US, and then because the US it gets big in the US, then by sort of definition, it comes back to England and then gets big back in England again. So, it's one of these, it's the bounce thing that happens across the Atlantic, which happens all the time with all kinds of music,
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I was reasonably impressed. I mean, it was hard work making those records. I had to concentrate all the time, and we didn't have a lot of time to do them. So had to make decisions all the time, concentrate, a lot of concentration to make sure I didn't fuck it up. You know.
How difficult was it working with Ozzy at that point? Because I mean, as everyone knows, he was a mess at that point. Just an absolute mess. So you're in the studio trying to revive this man's career. How difficult is that?
Fucking Ozzy's a great singer, man.
Yes.
And he's still a great singer.
Yeah.
And people slag him off. Fucking guy sings like a bird.
He's underrated.
I don't big time. People just think he's an idiot, but he's not an idiot. He's a fucking great singer. So the way he does the vocals, and I'm sure you've heard the whole story before, but the way he does the vocals is, you got 2 tracks, right? So you ready the first track, you go, here it comes, you punch him in, he sings the first line, you stop the tape, he goes, how was it? You go, not bad, Oz. He goes, do it again. So you roll back, same punch. So you punch one line. How was it? Pretty good, that one. Double it. Roll back, punch him in on the other track. Double it right when he sang it. So that way he gets that real silky kind of tight double with the little flange in the middle. And that's his signature sound. And that's how he does that, because he will never sing it the same twice. But if he sings it right after he just sang the take, then he'll probably get it real close.
Short-term memory.
Yeah, short-term vocal. So he does that, and then okay, next line. So you hear that one, then you punch him, and that's why you got that oi, 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 because I punched him in at the front of the song, and he's like, oi, oi, and then he starts singing. So he goes, okay, do it, double it. So we go back on the other track, but he forgot where it was. So he goes, and he forgot about it. So he's like, and he goes, oi, and he goes, oi, and he goes, oi, and he goes, and he starts laughing.
Wow.
But he goes, keep that. I said, oh, I'm keeping it. Don't worry about that.
I just thought you hit the delay. I just thought you hit a delay.
No.
He
but
actually,
then afterward,
he sang those, huh? Far out.
He sang it on, he sang, oi, oi, and then when he heard the other track, it went oi, oi, oi. He was like, what? Yeah, so we just left it.
Let me interrupt. The vibra slap, the donkey call. Did you play that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew it. I fucking could have made money on that bet.
Yeah. Well, I always tried to get a vibra slap on every record. I think I told you that years ago.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
There's one on Black. There's one on Black Tiger. I think there's one on Armored Saint.
Yeah. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Yeah.
I'm also doing a toucan call in there, like one of those.
Wow, I should have bet. I should have put money on that one too.
Oh, now you can win. Now you can win some money in the bar. I know who did that.
Yeah.
So I find it interesting that I'm trying to grasp the dynamics between the people in the studio, because you've got Ozzy, who's kind of obviously already well known, but is not having his best day around 1980. Then you've got Randy, who is kind of a young upstart who's very talented, but is probably going to defer to the boss. And then you've got Bob Daisley, who's probably the main songwriter in the whole mix. So how volatile is this chemistry? Is there a lot of arguing and fighting over who's doing what? And are you in the middle of it trying to coach it all? Or is everybody kind of on the same page despite their disparate backgrounds?
No, it was very relaxed. Bob was really in charge as far as kind of being the band leader, if you like.
Yeah.
So, he would be, okay, let's run it again, And of course, if Ozzy's in there, then they do, Bob defer to Ozzy, and Ozzy will call it, or they'll, work it out between them. Whether, run another one, listen, what's, how about we fix this bit, whatever, But most of the stuff had been worked out already. So they really pretty much knew what they were doing on Blizzard. So that, there wasn't really any kind of arrangement change going on. And basically, once Chris had left, what happened was we brought the drums out of that horrendous room and put them in the main studio, which is a big barn. So it was pretty damp. And as probably any engineer might tell you, you don't really want to record your drums in a big fucking boomy, fucking echoey room. You really want to record, unless the room sounds really terrific, and none of them do. So the best thing is to just record it in the fucking most dead place you possibly can, because then at least you can fix the fucking things. If you record it in a big open space, then you're fucked pretty much.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was very neutral space, and really kind of a bit like being out in the open almost, because it's a big studio. So, and it's very dead in there. So it was very easy to put him out there and get a sound fast that was controllable, and it brought the drums immediately up front. That was a very upfront drum sound on Blizzard. There's no reverberation whatsoever, and there's no compression whatsoever. So people are always asking me, "Oh, what preamps did you use?" And I'm like, the SSL preamps, because
ones in the console.
The ones in the console. People have this thing about, oh, you got to have this preamp, or you got to have this. I got to tell you, the placement and the mic is going to make much more difference than the preamp, and the fucking player is going to make about 1,000 times more difference. So I wouldn't be worrying about preamps ever if I were you.